This is Susan Wilbanks with blendedinsight.com. I am a holistic and integrative healing arts practitioner, an intuitive, and an energy healer. In this podcast, I share tips, tools, and suggestions that have helped me along my path in hopes of inspiring and helping you along yours. Let's get started with today's podcast topic. Hey, bright soul. Thank you for joining me on another podcast. I'd like to start out by thanking those who have left me reviews on iTunes and left comments and subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribed to my newsletter, and referred my work. I appreciate you, and I need to start off by saying that. Also, I hope you all are having a beautiful week. Here in Colorado, our state has opened up restaurants and bars, and some gyms have opened. My studio has not opened where I do Orange Theory, but there is one nearby that's going to be open June 8th. However, I won't be going to that one because that's not my home studio, so my membership is still frozen. So it's kind of an exciting time. There are people out on the roads more. Our weather has been absolutely gorgeous. And you can just feel a lighter energy in the world because people are able to start getting back to work and doing the things that bring them a lot of joy. Of course, there's modifications, but it's nice to feel the hope in the air. I'm very energetically sensitive, so I can feel it. And I hope where you are, you're also experiencing some of that. And so for today's podcast, I just want to talk about ways to make decisions. And this is something that I deal with a lot in my private practice, and it's something personally that I deal with when you're faced. There's two things that I want to address here. One is if you're just not a decisive person and you have to consult other people in order to make any decision, I want to help you with that. Second of all is when you have a decision to make, if you're anything like me, there are times when I can get so analytical about something that I almost paralyze myself where I can't make a decision. And sometimes getting other people's input makes it worse because then you just have too much information and you can't narrow it down and make a decision. So I wanted to share with you first how to become more decisive if you struggle with making decisions. And secondly, how to make those decisions quickly and to move forward confidently with those decisions. And these are just things that have worked for me, that I've used over the years. So if it doesn't resonate with you, no need to leave an ugly comment or argue. Just turn off this podcast and move on and find something that works well for you. I'm just sharing from my perspective and from my experience what has helped other people and myself, things that I have shared over the years and developed within my own toolbox. So the first thing I want to talk about is if you're a very indecisive person, and I'll tell you just from my energy healing work and my intuitive work, that usually stems from a lack of self-confidence. And so usually when someone just can't make a decision, they just don't feel grounded in themselves. So I tell people, and this is one of the things that I consult people a lot in private sessions. From an energy healing perspective, usually the upper and lower chakras are not balanced. And so as an energy healer, I will work to balance those areas. And I will also work a lot on cleaning out lower emotions that may have been there from a long time, because sometimes it stems from something that happened in the past, a traumatic event, or a time when a person made a decision and it ended up being the wrong decision and now they're afraid. So I work a lot on clearing out those layers and all of that fear energy. So one of the things you can do is just work on your energy body, work on balancing your own energy centers if you don't want to work with a private practitioner. And I have lots of YouTube healings that they are not designed to be a substitute for private sessions. They're meant to be used as a tune-up, but I know a lot of people just use them and that's all they use. So you just do what you're drawn to. So I would say just do the practices to balance your energy centers, and that's good no matter what, but especially if you're really trying to make decisions, be more decisive, and clear this up. The other thing is the more you just quickly make a decision and don't go back on it, the easier it becomes. We all make decisions sometimes and then realize that what we thought was a really good decision turned out to not be the best decision, and we have the free will choice to change our mind. But what I know is that action cures despair. So if you're stuck between two decisions or just being decisive in general, the way that you can get unstuck is by taking some action, moving, making a decision, moving toward it. Also, physical activity helps a lot because it helps you to get out of your head and back into your body so that you can actually move some of that energy out, expand your health rays, and get access to some new ideas and new energy that can help you to move forward. So that's for being more decisive. It's just something really quick. And the next thing I'm going to share also applies to being more decisive. I used to listen to Denise Lynn when she was on Hay House Radio, and I believe she's on Unity Radio now. One of the things that she used to tell people when they would call in with decisions that they needed to make is she would listen to their dilemma and then say, well, if you weren't afraid, what would you do? And oftentimes I would hear listeners call in and say, I don't really know. And they were still paralyzed. They couldn't make a decision. And then she'd say, well, if you did know, what would the answer be? And then you'd hear them get really quiet. And then she would basically keep redirecting the question inward to themselves until they would spit out an answer. And then she would basically just tell them, go forward on that path. Sometimes we just have to make a decision in order to open up the energy around it so that energy can flow in. Because when we're stuck and stagnant and we're making no movement, that's just it. Nothing can happen. And so that's one of the things that I've used over the years is asking myself in a very quiet, calm, centered place, if I weren't afraid, what would I do? And if I knew the answer, what would it be? Those are two things that you can ask yourself. They're reflective questions. I've used that a lot over the years. Now, I usually do it after an energy healing. It's very tough to get clear whenever your energy body is congested, or if you have a lot of cords, it's tough. And so that's one of the ways that I use energy healing. And then I will use these questions. Also, readings really help with that after an energy healing. That's why I don't like to just go get a reading. I want to have an energy healing first, because if you just go to people and get readings, first of all, you don't know what their channels look like. So for me, if I'm getting a reading from someone, it needs to be someone that I know keeps their energy body clean. If their energy body's not clean, who knows what information is coming forward? So I'm very selective about that. But second of all, if my energy body is corded and stagnant, and that person is also corded and stagnant, then the energy healing or the reading will be all over the place because the energy healing wasn't done first. So I hope that makes sense. The other thing that I've done over the years is you can sit, think of the choices that are in front of you. So maybe it's between 2 decisions or 3 decisions, and visualize the outcome of each one and see how your body feels. Notice if there's a change in your breathing. Notice if you feel lighter or heavier. Notice if you feel expanded or constricted with each option. A very practical thing to do is writing out the pros and cons of each decision. So each path that you could take, and lining it up with your day-to-day goals, your long-term goals, your day-to-day goals, and your habits to see which one would be easier or more conducive or more in alignment with what you're doing and where you want to go. That can sometimes really help. The other thing you can do is set a timer. Set a timer like, okay, I am going to make a decision and move forward within 15 minutes. And I'm going to make a commitment to myself that this is the path we're going down. And if it isn't the correct path, then just ask, turn it over to a higher spirit. Let me know. Maybe this path, the door will close, something will happen, and I will be redirected. But I'm going to take some action with the intention of moving forward, and I'm going to keep on this path until something changes. So that's another one that I've used a lot over the years. The other thing is what I would do is take each decision. So I would sit very quietly, hold my hands out, facing up, and then imagine a decision in the right hand and a decision in the left hand. So I would physically place those options in each hand. And then sitting and breathing, I would just take note which one feels heavier and which one feels lighter. Because what's true for me is light, and what's heavy for me is a lie. It's not the right path for me at this time. And so I'd really just get quiet on which one feels better. The other thing you can do is use oracle cards. Pick a card for each place, and I usually do that in readings with people. The other thing you can do is just ask for signs and be really open. The only way you can notice the signs is if you are open and you're trying to remain unattached. It's difficult to notice the signs when you're stuck in your head and your energy centers are congested and blocked and you're thinking and thinking and thinking. That's when we miss things. So those are times when I am going to do some physical exercise. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to move my body. And I'm going to get myself in a very neutral space so that I can actually be open to hearing from the divine and getting some guidance and getting some input. The main thing is just you have to make a decision and move forward. And sometimes it's difficult to do, but you've got to trust yourself. And at the end of the day, we all know what's right for us. Our higher self is always speaking to us. The more that we listen to it and notice it and follow it, the stronger it becomes. Intuition is just a practice. It's a muscle. The more you listen to it, the easier it is to recognize. And so I hope those tips helped. And I want to spend the rest of this time just doing an energy healing with you. The intent of this is going to be two things. One, to make you a more decisive person. So I'm going to work on those energy centers in the beginning of the healing, which will help you if you are struggling with a specific decision or if you are just indecisive in general. That's the first thing I want to do. And then the second thing I want to do is just open up your channels so that you can hear and you can feel confident in making a decision for yourself. So with that said, you can go ahead and get ready and uncross your arms and legs, drop into your body, and just be open to receiving. And I am going to remain fairly quiet because I want you to really receive, drop into your body, and get your answers. out, you can come back into your body, and I hope that helped. You've got all my love and support, and we're on this journey together. So these are things that we all deal with, and it's nice to come together and just share and help one another. I hope you have a beautiful first week of June. I'm super excited about June, and I want to wish you a beautiful week. Just continue to move forward, do what you can, stay positive. That's what we're all trying to do, and just focus on the outcomes that you can influence. You have the power to make decisions, to change your mind, and to stand in your light. Take care. Bye-bye.